meeting for July 23rd, 2025. I look around, I see that everyone here on the dais is present, so we do have a quorum. We're going to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance to both flags, and we're going to have a short invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Councilman Robinson, please.
Would you please bow your heads and join me in a word of prayer? Oh, Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with thanksgiving and praise. We thank you, Father, for your providence. We ask, Lord, that you bless this city council, you bless our citizens, you bless our staff. As we deliberate tonight, give us wisdom that we make the right choices and we do the right things for the right reasons. We ask this in the name of your precious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, before we move on to Citizens Forum, I want to, first of all, I want to thank you all for being here, for participating in the City Council meeting. And I know that the majority of you are here for the one specific item that's on the agenda, which is the park plan study that has been commissioned. I'd like to have Paul, you can come up, and to explain what the purpose for this plan was. And then when we get to the item on the agenda, then we'll go into detail. But what precipitated this study, so everybody understands what this is about.
Sure. Okay, my name is Paul Howard. I'm with Burdick Consultants, and we're located in Conroe, Texas. And the city put out a request for qualifications last year to engage a consulting firm to put together a Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And what that is it's a visionary document that captures what the vision is for the community's parks, recreation facilities, and events and programs and whatnot over the coming 5 to 10 years. But it's also a practical document, so we look at how to accomplish those goals by identifying opportunities within the community for improvements to your existing parks, and where there's opportunities for potentially new parkland and trails and amenities throughout your city. So all that is tied together into a document that can be used to just kind of guide the city as they look at making decisions for adding new features or making other improvements and over the coming years. And it's an important step in acquiring any Texas Parks and Wildlife grants through their local parks grants program. And so that's a critical step, is to have that on board, and the city will be uploading that to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department in the future so that they can accept that, and then they'll be ready for any future grant opportunities that come along.
Which is a major step that we have to take in order to be eligible for any future improvements that we want to make to existing parks or any future plans.
It is.
So it's something that we are obligated to do in order to qualify for these grants.
Absolutely. And each one of the recommendations in there, these are not something that's a commitment. What it is these are opportunities that we've identified through listening to what the public said they want and what we saw out there as opportunities like new land or new trail routes that potentially could be created. And so we provided opinions of probable cost and concept drawings that detail what it would take to accomplish those if you decide to take on one of those projects.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on then to Citizens Forum. Citizens are invited to speak for 3 minutes on matters relating to city government that relate to agenda or non-agenda items. Speakers are asked to approach the podium and give their name and address before sharing their comments. Keep in mind that state law require us not to respond to any questions you may have, but we would discuss whether to place whatever item it is that you want answers to either schedule it as an agenda item in the future, or we can go on a sidebar with you after the council meeting and try to answer any questions you may have. Okay? All right, first off, we have Roxanne Pierce.
Pierce.
Would you step up here? Welcome to City Hall.
My name is Roxanne Pierce. I live at 726 Shenandoah Drive, where you want to put a park right behind my house. And I do not, my house and Cherrywood, the last house on Cherrywood, we're the lowest house in the neighborhood, so all the water drains. I don't feel like these parks are necessary. We have enough parks per the survey that you guys did. And if you guys really want to add parks, then why don't you let the public vote on it? Also, you need to take this money and you need to focus on, can't get out of the neighborhood, maybe you need to do something right there. Get the flow of the traffic to go to research and maybe improve other areas, but we don't need any more parks. It brings in the riffraff. A lot of thugs like to hang out at parks. A lot of drug activities like to deal drugs during the parks. And the other park behind Cedarwood, that going toward Grogan's Mill, you're going to connect that? That's just ridiculous. If they want to go and ride their bicycles or do doggies, they need to go to the Woodlands. There's enough parks out there that they can ride their bikes, do a dog walk. But I really don't feel like I'm totally against this, adding more parks. We have enough parks on our little community. We have more parks than Oak Ridge, and I just don't feel like it's relevant. Your survey was not done properly. You didn't ask the right questions, and I feel like it was just, you're just trying to get money. Why don't you ask the people? We elected you, and we can unelect you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Josh Parks.
Good evening, council, city staff, neighbors. Thanks for coming out. I'm also here to oppose the park at Rosewood Drive. I guess it's not the common knowledge that we have a speeding problem on Rosewood. A park's only going to increase the speeding and traffic on our sweet little cul-de-sac that we call our home. Like she said, it's going to bring in riffraff. I think about the vandalism that happened at the toddler park, people climbing on the roofs at the city park, vandalism there, the activity with the basketball courts where we lost our basketball hoops because people came from outside our city into our city and made it where our parks weren't accessible peacefully, but for residents. I think whenever everyone leaves here tonight, they need to look down the feeder road, look at our curbs, look at the rebar sticking out of the ground in front of the Twin Towers where the sidewalks are. Look at our sidewalks. We spent $500,000 on those sidewalks and we don't maintain them. We don't maintain the splash pad at the city park. We don't have a real flagpole at the Shenandoah pool. I think we have bigger issues. We don't have a 24-hour dispatch for the police department in Shenandoah, which on 6/25 left us in a very vulnerable situation. People couldn't get in contact with the city police department. It's been known that we have a problem with that phone line, and we still have a problem with speeding. I can't talk a lot on this, but I will say this, is that I've told the city multiple times there is a speeding problem in the neighborhood, and now I've been struck by a vehicle. So what are y'all gonna do about it, man? I was almost taken from my family because y'all don't enforce the law. It's unacceptable and I'm tired of doing it. Thank God it was me and it wasn't my child. Have a blessed night.
Thanks, Josh.
Next up, Jennifer Forshee.
Good evening, council and mayor. My name is Jennifer Porsche. I live at 719 Rosewood. I'm the second house from the end in the cul-de-sac. So did you see the news story that just popped up on your phone? Channel 2 KPRC the one who was sexually assaulted on a Woodlands walking trail by a man who was arrested because a neighbor got down the license plate. They found out he had past criminal activity as well as an ICE detention. We don't need that kind of thing. I've lived here, my husband bought the house in 2002. He recently passed away in December of 2024. I'm one of 6 widows in the cul-de-sac end of Rosewood Drive, right? They know who comes and goes by themselves at night, right? We don't have men living in our house, you get it? All right, I feel like it's a safety issue. They're gonna put 3 parking places in the flag lot at Shenandoah Drive. And then they're gonna come to Rosewood because they need to get into the park. And it's kind of secluded back there. And the new one at Cedarwood is even more secluded. So all I'm asking is think about things that we used to have that we don't have anymore. Safe Street, right? Everybody's kids grew up with Safe Street. We love Safe Street, right? We got rid of it because you couldn't keep not you guys, but just in general, they couldn't keep the people from the outside from coming into our little community, all right? We don't see, and I'm not saying anything because Shenandoah Police protects us, but they have newer, bigger things to do over on the other side of 45. They're chasing down criminals because people are doing crazy things. We aren't seeing the patrol in the valley. I don't know what they're doing in the rest of Shenandoah, but the valley, we don't see them as much. So if you put in new parks and new facilities, how are they gonna be able to protect it unless you increase police? I think that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Sherry Quigley. Did I pronounce that right? Quiggle, I'm sorry. My apologies.
It's all right. Good evening, council. My name is Sherry Quiggle. I've been a resident of Shenandoah since April of 1974. I live at 726 Rosewood. I live right next to where the proposed park is going to be. This was to be our first home when we moved here, and we never left. My husband had quite the reputation for helping those like me, widows, by mowing, edging, planting, trimming, generally just being useful to them. For 15 to 16 years, he did this. He's quite known on Rosewood. This is where we raised our family. We loved the woods. He loved the woods. He loved the peace, the outdoors, the deer. We've seen fox. We've seen all kinds of wildlife that we have had the pleasure of being blessed to see. The only time I ever knew Terry to come down to City Hall was when you all started mowing our woods. And he got really upset about it because they were cutting down trees, not the good ones, but the ones that prevented the other ones from growing so big. That's the only time I ever saw him complain. But that's why I'm here. I'm here for Terry. He would not appreciate this, and he would be down here himself if he could. Please treat us. We're residents. We don't live in the other locations that I don't know if there's a council member here who lives in the valley. We do. Okay, great. Thank you. But treat us with the respect and the courtesy that my husband extended to his neighbors. Listen to us when we ask you to listen to our concerns. They're really genuine concerns. There's too many other things and Josh just enumerated about several of them. There's too many other things that we could do right. If you're looking for the best interest of Shenandoah and for its residents, do the things that help us. Give us extra patrol. Give us curbs. Give us safe streets. And we do need some. I remember when we had police that would come down and give us their cards, that our local police, and say, we're here for your block. We're here for Rosewood or for this area. No longer. We don't see anybody unless there's a shooting, which Josh can probably attest to. We just want to feel safe. We want to let our children play outside without worrying about safety from unwarranted and unsolicited visitors. This park invites an element that we vehemently oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Next up is Ken McGee.
Good evening. My name is Ken McGee. I live at 739 Thornwood. I've been there 35 years. I'm opposed to the addition of these parks. I don't really see the need. Mostly I'm concerned about green space. And already there's very little green space left in the valley. And if you put splash pads in the green space over by the park, that's more green space gone. The city has left very little green space where the proposed park is behind my house. And for whatever reason, it may have been a good reason that all the woods were cleared out. The side effect to that is that we now constantly, 24 hours a day, hear the traffic noise on Research Forest, which is something we never heard before the trees were cut down in the brush. All that provided not only a place for habitat, but it gave us some seclusion. And when you put that park back there, I think these other people have spoken well about the concerns about bringing in people to the park. And already, I think I don't ever walk in the park anymore because I don't feel safe down there. And either it's wild dogs or wild children or whatever, but it just doesn't feel like a neighborhood where people can enjoy themselves, and I don't think we need to spend any more money on parks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Next up is Michael Deborah Morrow.
I'm Michael Morrow, and I live at 710 Rosewood Drive. We've seen this park that's going to be in our area. And I'm telling you, I'm flat opposed to it. My neighbors have spoken much more eloquently than I can about some of the reasons why. So unfortunately, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what the consequences are if you guys decide you're going to do it. I'm going to run against one of you. I don't know who it'll be. And I really don't want to run against you. I've lived here for 35 years, and it's the first time I've spoken to the council. You guys have a responsibility to spend your money well, and I encourage it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up is Laura Kress.
I'm Laura Kress. I live at 735 Thornwood. This survey, I think, was very slanted, like the majority of all surveys are. All the parks are in the valley. We don't need all the parks in the valley. And you have to take care of what we already have. I'm really surprised we haven't had lawsuits, somebody slip and fall in that splash pad, crack their head open. It's disgusting. Not gonna go on. Build on the other side of 45. We do need patrols in the valley. I live on a dead-end street, and we constantly see construction workers, whoever, on a dead-end street, near the dead end, speeding. And somebody, I think a former mayor, told me, well, call 911. I don't want to get in trouble for calling 911 27 times a day. I'm just not going to do it. And we don't need to build out every lot like others have said. I think public amenities need to be better communicated to the public. Your website doesn't work. I've tried signing up for the pool, I don't know how many times. I don't even know if I'm signed up for the pool because your website doesn't work. Fix the things in the city that need fixing now. Sorry, didn't mean to break that, or whatever. But take care of what we have. I finally see we got new deck chairs at the pool, some umbrellas, but it looked pretty nasty for a while. The other thing I wonder is, if you ask people at the Easter egg hunt, at the 4th of July people take the survey, did you ask them if they were Shenandoah citizens first? Because 90% of the people that come to those things probably don't live in the valley. I do not see that many young children walking and playing on our streets or in our neighborhood. I just don't. So they come from other places. And then the traffic is a nightmare. Turning that corner around by the pool on days of swim meets, on days of Easter egg hunts, on any public event, I've almost hit children, and I was driving 7 miles an hour. I'm not gonna, go on and on, but we need better events. So, fix the website. We'll vote for people that run against you. I know it has to go to the state parks for money. I get that. But be more fiscally responsible and respond to the residents that live here for 30, 40, 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Gene Teague.
Good evening. Jean Teague. I live in Shenandoah. I'm here also to talk about the park. I was one of the 3 people that attended the workshop that you held here in February. And I know that more surveys were done and solicited through the website and through social media and at the events. And I concur with Laura that I would like to know whether there was some validation of the people that took those surveys actually live in our city and where they live in our city. The majority of the parks, the new parks that are in that plan, are disproportionately placed in the valley. One of the items on the plan is to put a playground in the pool parking lot, which is 2 blocks from another playground, and a splash pad 2 blocks from another splash pad. It's disproportionate. There is no plan other than a trail on the east side, which you all have told us is what the new growth is going to be coming. So why are we not looking for park space or exploring ideas for putting park space over there to pull them out of the residential area? Can anybody answer that?
Yeah, we don't own the land over there, Gene, and you know that. So why do you bring that kind of stuff up?
Why do I bring that up?
No, you're.
Because we need park space over there too for our residential, our growth on that side. The 3 people that attended the meeting all live in the valley near the parks.
That's right.
And they were all against putting more parks in the valley. So one of the feedback from the company that conducted the survey said that they were also looking at acquiring new land. So is that off the table?
No, Gene, I agree with you that there needs to be a park over there, and it's going to be part of the drainage plan that we're doing over there as well. I think that's a great place for a dog park over there away from everybody else. And just speaking as president of the MDD, I've got not $1 for this for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So I've got nothing to spend on it. And so I
Right,
won't.
you're planned out to 2035. I understand. But I also understand that I've come before MDD and I've come before City Council, and Kathy can certainly attest to my emails about the condition of the splash pad. We're gonna add another splash pad when the condition of the current splash pad, whether it's for lack of money, for lack of staff, whatever the case may be, it is not maintained how it should be. And I think if you walked down there and looked at the pink slime that is growing in those puddles, you would not want your child or grandchild playing on it either. Thank you.
Thanks, Gene.
Thank you. Next up is Tina Cockburn.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. I live at 722 Rosewood, right next to Sherry Quiggle, and one of the things I'd like to say, we are not for these parks at all. I think that there really needs to be a balance of parks and green space. And if you take that green space away, as one of my other neighbors said, you're putting us in a disadvantage. Wildlife, shade, all of these other things that we enjoy in these green spaces is going to be lost. We're not going to get that back. Once you put a park in, that wildlife is gone. It probably would not come back. Even if in 20 years you said, let's get rid of that park, they would probably not come back and be there. We have a very limited number of parking spaces in the cul-de-sac on Rosewood. And we have a number of families with adult children and multiple cars and work vehicles. There's already a limit on parking in our area. And if you add a park, even if there's a parking space and parking places on Shenandoah, they're gonna come on Rosewood. And there's already enough traffic on our street as it is. There's been crime in our cul-de-sac. Right after we moved in 2011, there was a car that was stolen and dumped in the green space. There are not enough police patrols in our neighborhood. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit emotional right now, but I just think that balance is really important, and we're not going to have that if these parks go in. And I would really hate to see someone who has lived in this neighborhood for 50 years lose the green space that she has been assured would always be there and be a green space and be natural and untouched. For her to lose that at this place in her life would be devastating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mike McLeod.
Good evening. Mike McLeod, 135 Bella Luna. Most people have addressed most of the other issues, and I did send you guys an email a little earlier this evening. I do want to address two things that I don't think I've heard too much. I'm one of those that's opposed to a dog park near in the residential area. So where the proposed dog park is going, I'd like to see us continue to explore parks on the east side. I think that's a better way for us to do that. I'm entirely opposed to adding another splash pad in the pool area. Whether that's going to be fenced, in which case that's going to limit its use, or it's going to be unfenced, in which case, as other people have pointed out, that corner is a highly trafficked area, and now we're going to have kids who are going to be in and out of the street right there. So those are really my big points on that. Again, I think other people have addressed the other park issues. I like the idea of trails, I like the idea of connecting people, but we need to maintain some of this natural space. And I certainly don't want to see a splash pad going in the pool area in that particular location. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment before we move on, is that I want to make sure that as far as I'm concerned, we are not going to build any more parks in the valley. This, again, I want to reiterate that this master plan was created to justify grants. A grant that we have in mind is to improve the area that's just north of the stadium. You're familiar with that pond that's over there, that retention pond? To make an amenity out of that. In order to justify for a grant, we have to have a master plan. So we filled the master plan with projected justification. We are not going to build another park. There's no place to build another park. And the places that we do have that were part of a land grant that was donated to the city for public use are more or less landlocked. You can't get to them. So we can't really build anything on it. And those are, I don't know if you're familiar with those lots that are out there. Kathy, would you explain that?
Those two tracts were deeded to the city several years ago and they were put in a land trust. They can only be used for the public benefit, so they can never be developed for residential or commercial use. If anyone in the future ever tried to develop those tracts, there's a condition where that land would revert back to the original owner or that person's heirs. So what Burdett did for us in developing this was just put together some ideas. We're not, as Mr. Howard said, this is not a commitment and it's not a plan. And our main goal is to try to get some grant funds to put in this park feature on the east side, and that's going to be expensive. So I hope that helps.
We sent out requests for input. We put it out on social media. We put it out on, I believe, mailers. We put out. We set up booths at our public events. We solicited as much input from the residents as we could. I don't know exactly what the numbers were that Burdett collected. Maybe you can.
195. That's 5%.
We would have appreciated a lot more, I'm sure, as you would as well. I wish that 100% of people participated, but we did make an effort to do that. But be that as it may, I just want to allay your concerns that you're not going to have cars parked on the street in front of your houses, that we're not going to build a park where it would be an inconvenience or an attraction to what you yourselves have said, problems that might develop as a result of the park. So rest assured that the purpose for this is to get a specific grant for a specific location that is not going to affect your way of life other than enjoying the amenity once it's completed. All right. I hope that clears, at least eases your mind a bit. But anyway, the other issues, rest assured that we will, when we are addressing the other issues in the community, your concerns with traffic. We have a traffic committee that's looking into resolving issues. And we're also dealing with our police department to address the issues that you voiced here tonight. All right. Having said that, we're going to move on to item number 6, introduction of new employees.
Officer Houlihan, can you step up here, please?
So Sean is from Needville, Texas, where he went to school before joining the military and serving as a flight medic for the United States Air Force. After the military, he attended paramedic school in California before moving back home to Texas and joining the Houston Police Department in 2017, where he completed the 6-month training in the academy. After the academy, he completed the FTO program in Northeast Houston and transferred to Greens Point, where he worked at night shift patrol before being selected to the Greens Point Tactical Unit. His time in the unit was focused on working proactive investigations to get violent criminals and fugitives off the street. And Sean is married, and they have a daughter who will be 3 years old in November. And Sean is excited to have the opportunity to work with the Shenandoah Police Department and serve the citizens of Shenandoah. Sean, if you just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sean Houlihan, do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of police officer of the state of Texas. I will never bring dishonor upon my integrity. The badge of the office. Or the Shenandoah Police Department. My character will remain impeccable. And I will never betray the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I promise to uphold the Constitution. The laws of the United States of America. And the state of Texas. So help me God. Darius, step on up here. So Darius Calloway is originally from Denver, Colorado, where his childhood fostered a love for football and a passion for working on cars and motorcycles. He further grew a commitment to the duty of leadership during the service in the United States Army. Building on this foundation, Darius successfully graduated from the Lone Star Police Academy in December of 2024, and he is particularly drawn to the Shenandoah Police Department, recognizing it is an excellent environment for new officers to learn the job, thanks to the strong support from the city. With the unwavering encouragement of his family, Darius is now eager to use this diverse background and recent training to serve and protect the community with integrity and dedication. So raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
Darius Calloway.
Do solemnly affirm.
Do solemnly affirm.
That I will faithfully execute the duties.
That I will faithfully execute the duties.
Of the office of police officer.
Of the office of police officer.
Of the state of Texas.
Of the state of Texas.
I will never bring dishonor upon my integrity.
I will never bring dishonor upon my integrity.
The badge of my office.
The badge of my office.
Or the Shenandoah Police Department.
Or the Shenandoah Police Department.
My character will remain impeccable.
My character will remain impeccable.
And I will never betray the public trust.
And I will never betray the public trust.
I will always have the courage.
I will always have the courage.
To hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
I promise to uphold the Constitution,
I promise to uphold the Constitution,
the laws of the United States of America,
the laws of the United States of America,
and the state of Texas.
and the state of Texas.
So help me God.
So,
How about that, folks? A brand-new police officers. Welcome aboard. Thank you. As the families make their way out, we're going to move on to item number 7, and that's going to be the presentation of the park master plan.
Thank you, Council. I need no introduction at this stage, so I'm going to get right to the overall Parks Master Plan planning process. Is this clicker working? Oh, there you go. Okay, so in October of last year, we began this process to identify opportunities and needs for improvements and additions to the park system. We were tasked with reaching out to the community and asking what they would like to see and evaluating your existing parks and facilities and looking at opportunities in the community where there might be some additions that could be made. All of this resulted in a plan document, as I mentioned earlier. Some of these processes, one of course was the inventory of your existing parks and amenities, all of which are generally in great shape. You've got a feature-rich selection of parks, and you've got a pretty good distribution of parks throughout at least the west side of town where everybody lives. We also looked at what non-city recreation providers are out there, which includes all the surrounding communities, includes the private sector such as yoga studios and gyms and various other types of recreation providers that are a part of this ecosystem of recreation. And so some of those things you don't have to do, as was mentioned by some residents, but there's always the opportunity to take on some of that role yourself if you like some of those things closer to home. We looked at some benchmarks across the region and at the national level. And then we looked at what's called a 10-minute walk analysis, where we evaluate how far everyone in the community lives from a community park. So the idea came from the National Recreation Park Association and the Trust for Public Land. Is a challenge to communities across the country to try to maximize the number of residents that live within a 10-minute walk of a park, which is about a quarter mile. And then we looked at some recent trends in what residents in Shenandoah have been doing for recreation. This is just a quick snapshot of the level of service analysis compared to some other communities in the area, which is NRPA, which is the National Recreation Park Association's metric of park acreage per 1,000 residents. So the city of Shenandoah has 7.48 acres of park per 1,000 residents. The national median for communities of 20,000 in population and smaller is 12.6. So it indicates y'all aren't at the bottom for sure, but there might be some opportunities if the light land was available to consider possible additions. And then the 10-minute walk analysis showed that the city of Shenandoah has a remarkable 66% of residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park. That's pretty good. You look at some of the other communities listed here, and there's a few slightly, none higher on this list, most of them lower, and a lot of communities much lower. So y'all are in a pretty good shape there. And so this was just a way to look at where there might be some gaps where some additional parks could be provided. This is just an inexhaustive list of some of the other recreation providers in the immediate area around Shenandoah. Within a 5-mile area, there's quite a bit of recreation available. A lot of that's, of course, the Woodlands Township takes on the biggest role in that. And so those can be seen as complementary to the offerings here in Shenandoah. The next step was community engagement. We had an online survey that ran from November of last year to May of this year. That's a long time to be out online there. We got a total of 195 responses. We would have liked to have seen more, but it was still a good sample. We tend to find that at a certain point, you just see the trends growing stronger one way or the other, rather than changing dramatically. Then we had a parks planning workshop in February, and we'll get a little more into detail on that here shortly. And then we had a booth at the extravaganza event. Is that the official name?
It was the Easter event.
The Easter event. I did it again. So we were reaching out to residents and visitors and whoever was there. But we had a lot of residents that we had a lot of long conversations with about the things they would like to see from new amenities, improved amenities, city events, programs, things like that. And then we had some data from an event survey that the city provided us from, I guess that was from last year. That was in a little bit more input. We had a total of 195 responses, so 84.7% confidence interval, and a 6.8% margin of error.
Before you go any further, let me ask you just a quick question.
Sure.
About the survey. When you were out at that event, were you able to determine residency when I know you actually spoke to people who walked up to your booth? Were you able to determine the amount of people who are actual residents and those who were not?
No, at the Easter event?
Yes.
No. In fact, we only had 13 new responses, I think, from the Easter event, so not as much as we would have liked. I believe we did have the question asked on the survey, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. I might have it in your council packet, but there's a graph in there showing that there was some people from outside the community that participated in the survey, but we asked them, are you a resident of Shenandoah or not? And so that information is available. We didn't ask where they live. We don't tend to get very much luck with asking people where they live on surveys. And people like a little bit of privacy. We didn't even bother trying.
Can I ask just one more thing before you keep going?
Yes.
Is that why isn't there anything on here about the East Side Park by where the reservoir will be and where that will be? John, is that because we don't have that fully engineered yet, or? But there's not a whiff of it on here, and I can understand people being kind of upset about that.
Well, all right, so all that's been done is a preliminary engineering report on the property itself. It's related to future stormwater detention needs. That there hasn't been a plan fully vetted out on what's going to become of any land that can be recovered from that. There's still a lot of work that needs to go into designing that facility. It hasn't been designed yet. So I don't know what the status is of available space for park land, other than some trail space along the perimeter and potentially a place to park and access the trail on the perimeter, and with some educational signage, maybe some showing off some of the wetland features that are inherent in that land. And so, we did not develop a full concept.
I just want
parks.
people to know that realistically, that is the next place we're going to be building a park. And that's at least 4 to 5 years away. So none of this is going to be anything that's imminent at all.
I understand. Well, we were directed that land was most likely going to be captured to be utilized in other ways besides park space. So a portion of that land, not all of it, but all of that was going to be depending on any collaboration with the school district on potential shared detention off-site to maybe mitigate some of the detention needs on some of that future detention pond. So all this has to be designed and has to be worked out between other parties as well. I know there's a grant application forthcoming for the General Land Office to help recoup some of the potential costs of dealing with that future detention facility, but that was out of our wheelhouse.
Well, I just want to add that that's an ongoing project on our CIP, to engage with the CISD for the drainage. That's a proposal that we have. Our city engineer is working on that, which includes also the development of that as a facility, as something that we can, that the community could use as well. So that's an ongoing, to answer your question, that is, the reason it's not on this plan specifically is because we're just getting the details down. We just want to make sure that we meet the deadlines for whatever, for the grants, solicitation, and, but it is a project that is currently being developed.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so the key takeaways from the online survey, obviously Shenandoah City Park is the most popular park in town. It's got a lot of features, and it's great. It's a great park. Trails, dog parks, and playgrounds were at the top of the list of most desired outdoor amenities. And there was strong emphasis on future family-friendly gatherings, holiday events, and celebrations of that type, and creating opportunities for neighbors to connect. You have a very tight-knit community here. And focusing efforts on new and improved features to existing parks above all, and a high priority for connections to existing trails and parks. There was discussion during some public input, both in person and on, about sidewalks. We found that in many of the areas of town that's a challenge because of the lack of right-of-way. You have relatively small front yards, but along collectors and more major corridors, there's opportunities that we'll show you in a bit for potential trails. And as you can see in this chart here, and maybe you can't, my font was a little small, trails came in at the top of the list at 46% as a priority for new features. And dog park came in second at approximately 30%, followed by natural areas and pickleball courts and a variety of other items on the list. As I mentioned earlier, adding new and improved features to existing parks was up at the top at 58% of responses, followed by trails at 34%, and then programs and events, and then last but not least, last and least technically, acquiring land to develop new parks. Parks Planning Workshop was held, and I believe we had, as they mentioned, about 3 people show up and a lot of staff, and that was a productive workshop, but a limited. We wish more people would have showed up, like it was at least as many as we have here tonight. That would have been excellent. But we did get some key takeaways from that. Parking and access is an issue at times, primarily during events, like when there's swim meet or other activities going on at Shenandoah City Park. And then some park amenities for consideration. Dog water fountains was mentioned, more shade, and amenities on the east side of I-45. We'll talk about that here in a sec. And picnic tables and workout stations. And then considering possible programming events in the future, maybe some indoor meeting space if that ever becomes a possibility, to add some more of that into the community. And then also discussed was reclaiming land at the east side detention pond in some form for future recreation. This right here is just a recreation behavior study we did where we pulled upon big data available from the industry about what people are doing specifically in Shenandoah. It's based on user surveys and sporting goods purchasing habits and a lot of other proprietary data from a company called ESRI. They showed that walking for exercise, hiking, swimming, weightlifting, bicycling are at the top of the list of activities that residents are currently participating, at least in the last 12 months. Ultimately, all of this resulted in a list of proposed recommendations for improvements to your park system. And I'll go through these all here in a sec. We have improvements at Mary Pat Case Park, Shenandoah City Park, Toddler Park, and then, as everyone's aware, some potential new park properties that we are identifying as opportunities. A new dog park over Veterans Point along Wellman, a new park at the Rosewood Drive property, and one to the southwest of that were those 3-acre parcels that were mentioned earlier that are part of that land trust. And then some trail opportunities. The trail at the east side detention pond is one, and then possibly taking advantage of that underutilized detention pond space over at Tuscany Woods that could be used just as a place for athletic practice fields. You know, put some soccer goals out there or something like that. Make it more than just a hole in the ground waiting for a rain. Just an opportunity. At Shenandoah City Park, we just proposed very limited improvements. You've got a lot of great things going on there, and there's a limited amount of space to add new things without just really cluttering it. But the idea of putting a sand volleyball court down there over kind of by where the existing workout stations are, there's adequate space there. And then capturing that space with some seating areas and some more shade trees on there. And you can see at the bottom left of the screen, that large green space, that's your existing open space right now that's used for a pickup game of soccer. It's where the Easter egg hunt happens, things like that. It's hard to maintain the grass there with as much foot traffic it sometimes gets. So in this concept, we propose putting in an artificial turf surface that would be well drained, but easy to maintain, look great year-round, and it could be used for soccer, it could be used for public events, so not striping it like a field for one particular use, but just an opportunity to make that a little more usable space year-round. At Mary Pat Case Pool, we put together a concept for adding playground here. This was one of the items that was identified as a priority in the survey. You have that space up that's a wooded area, that's maintained wooded area up there on the north side of the parking lot there. And so we proposed a small playground area with some walking paths leading to it, a couple of new parking spots there. And that's about it on that part of the site. And then taking advantage of the space down to the south of the swimming pool that's really underutilized, and expanding some aquatic recreation opportunities there. You've already got the pool equipment for cleaning the water, right, and the pumps and everything right over on that side, so it made the most sense to put it down there. But it could be a splash pad proper, or it could be more like a spray feature that has a kind of like aquatic playgrounds. Basically, it has a small pool of water in there, and then it's got some spray features. But just taking advantage of that space to make it a little bit more recreation opportunities, and then depending on how that's designed, it could be utilized year-round, at least during the warmer months, even if the pool isn't open during certain parts of the year. At Toddler Park, there wasn't much more that needed to be done except for more shade. We heard that from residents talking to us at the park, and we saw it in the survey, the need for shade. And in playground areas, that's even more important. So we proposed a couple of new shade cells to add some additional shade and make that a little bit more comfortable of the space. But otherwise, leaving it like it is, it's a great park. And this was the opportunity over at Wellman Road, already city-owned property, which was key to any of the proposed new park features, is taking advantage of land that's already in the city's coffers, because land is really expensive in this immediate area and within the city limits. So this opportunity for about a 1 acre park that there's already a sidewalk going there that leads over to the Veterans Point Park and detention/amenity pond. But putting in a proposed dog park with a large and small dog park areas separately fenced with their own access gates, and a couple shaded seating areas, and really that's about it. Just keeping it as an open space. There'll be some new parking on the south side. We've already got a curb cut there, but dog parks were mentioned as a priority, and it's a great opportunity and a relatively low-hanging fruit in terms of adding new recreation opportunities in the community. There was opinions voiced about potential noise, which there's no real solution for that other than to maybe consider talking to the residents through a polling of the residents at the adjacent senior, it's not really senior living community, 55-plus community over there, to consider their opinions before doing something like that. And then there was some mention about potential smells related to that. But our experience, well-maintained dog parks don't tend to cause a lot of problems, and the people that go to dog parks tend to not make as much noise as a lot of other dogs in the community.
Was there any consideration given to, as these were laid out, making any contact with any of the adjacent neighbors at all?
Exactly.
Oh, during the planning process?
Yes.
No, that would typically be done if the city was planning on actually going into design phases and then reaching out to them at that point, or sometime in the interim, but not typically scoped as a part of, because we don't really know what we're getting into on a planning process until we start. So having the time and resources to set aside to specifically go and poll a whole group of residents, which would be it's a knock on every door kind of project that we typically would undergo with something like that. But it's definitely a recommendation if there's concern, and we recommend a constant communication with your community. You have a very engaged community.
I'd say there's a concern.
What's that?
I'd say there's a concern.
Yes, but it was not voiced during the planning process up until
all right.
the last week, so
right, go ahead.
that's where we're at. So this is the process we went through. One of the most unpopular proposals was this 3-acre park that was mentioned earlier. It was just an opportunity to consider use of land that's already owned by the city and can't be used for anything else than public use. And this concept was a very conservative approach, just a small play area and some trails, basically, with trail access connecting across some rights of way that are owned by the Woodlands Development Company to connect over to Gosling and improve some connectivity there. And the second parcel of that nature was just to the south of that, another 3-acre park, also connected to some rights of way owned by the Woodlands Development Company, requiring some interlocal agreement to provide pedestrian access. And this one was simply a couple picnic shelters and some trails running through there, still maintaining all the rest of it in a wooded space, but opening it up a little bit to make it feel more like a park. There was opinions voiced about how to address policing in there, and that would require some level of foot patrol or bicycle patrol by police to make that more feasible, because there's not a lot of places, there's no place to park on this particular concept. So those are considerations, but we would be remiss if we didn't at least point out the opportunity, because there's very limited other city lands, and there's no likely potential to buy new parkland in the near future, from my understanding. So we have to at least point out the opportunities and make that available to you in a master plan. These are non-committal. These are just opportunities. Pathways, you have a list of, and I won't get into the details in each one, we got a list of proposed routes. The blue ones are your existing pathways throughout the community. You do have some opportunities to finish some of that by along the I-45 corridor. You've already got it on the east side of I-45 over there along the shopping centers. And but doing the same and completing that on the west side would be nice. And then connection along Country Lane. I can't get all my road names straight here. And then we've got a couple routes going east over to the proposed future detention facility with a loop around that, and some potential interpretive signage and seating areas along that to enjoy that natural space, because it's a beautiful property, actually. And so a variety of proposed trails to eventually connect and make a potential complete loop, one running up on the east side of Grogan's Mill that would complete the loop and allow you to actually walk around the entire west side of Shenandoah, basically. All of these concepts came with opinions of probable cost in a great level of detail, enough to allow you to consider that if you were planning on taking on any of these or any component of these projects. Some of these could be done a la carte, because, you know, a thing like a shade sail at a toddler park, you could take just one thing if you wanted to implement that in a given year. We recommend between 4% and 6% cost escalation for every year you wait from when these OPCs have been presented, because we're living in some inflating times when it comes to construction costs. And we also provided a list of potential funding sources. One of them, which I mentioned earlier, was a future Texas Parks and Wildlife grant. You can't apply this year because the grant application deadline is August 1st. So, but in coming years, there's opportunities. One of them being trail grants in Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. They're funded at 80% with a 20% match by the city. So it's a great opportunity to kickstart a project. And they mostly fund ones that connect things, connect places to people, and whether it's neighborhoods to parks or to schools or to other public spaces. And so those are the type of things you'd want to consider if you were going to take on one of those trail projects. Otherwise, there's also some TxDOT grants available through the Transportation Set-Aside program and the Safe Routes to School program that might be considered in the future. And with that, I'll answer any questions you'll have.
And this totaled out to about $5.4 million, correct? All the projects together, not that you had to do them all at the same time. Okay. And I just wanted to reiterate for folks that, municipal development district, I've already got $26 million worth of projects lined up over the next 10 years. That's why I say there's not one penny for this in the next 10 to 13 years.
I understand.
So I just want everybody to know that MDD will not be paying for any of this.
I understand.
And neither will the city. I mean, the whole point of this is for any future grant that we may have, that any of these projects could fit into the requirement for the grant.
Sure.
So I want to make sure that the residents who are present here and those who are watching it on YouTube, that, this is not something that we would take on without the input of those being impacted by something like this. So rest assured that that's not going to happen here.
Yeah, certainly I'd expect a town hall meeting or something
Yeah,
before we did
absolutely.
anything.
Absolutely.
On this, and I'm going to be off council long before that 13 years.
When that's the process with every design project for a park, it always comes back to, once you start going into design phases, then there's a public input process that's specifically for that project.
Exactly.
And that's where you get into the nitty gritty, and that's when you really find out if people want it. We did that with a trail project in Deer Park. We had to talk to every landowner along the route of a trail that was being proposed to make sure that they were all on board with it. So those are the type of things that are dealt with at that phase.
Do you have a question for him or for the?
Well, for both.
Okay.
I believe $43,000 was paid to do a survey that only 5% of the population answered. One, I'd like to know where in the budget that $43,000 came from. And two, how can the council and the city, and if you're a pollster doing polls, how can we better reach our senior population? Because they're not being reached. I've talked to many that they're not on, they have trouble with internet, trouble with technology, and so how would you reach out to our senior population, and where did that $43,000 come from? And if more surveys are going to be done, where's that money coming from?
Which question do you want to do first?
Well, the money came from MDD for this plan.
He just said he doesn't have another dollar for it.
No, it was just for the planning,
that's
for the
a
planning
year ago.
purposes, but we don't have any money to do this at all. Council asked us to fund it, and we said, okay, we can fund it, just to see what we've got,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
The past survey.
Well, what they funded was a Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which is a survey.
Which isn't going to be used. So we wasted $43,000.
No, it's not a waste. We do a thoroughfare plan for every street that you want. We have zoning plans. There's a lot of conceptual plans that you do for the city to make sure that it is the way you
And I realize it has to be done to get the grants and things like that, but you just said, we're not going to do this. We're not going to build, and so.
It's a plan.
So we spent the money. I would love $43,000 to spend on nothing. How are you going to reach the senior citizens?
Well,
If you do certain.
if we were to go into another planning process, or the city asked us to go through another survey, then there would have to be, well, we don't know yet. We're not sure exactly how we would do that. And it would probably have to go with a mail-out survey, which on average is about $1 per household, which could be done. And, and then reaching out to any senior groups out there to find out where they are and how to reach them.
I think going door to door and having meaningful individual conversations with people would be a really good way to conduct a survey. Really good way.
This is a copy, if I may, this is a copy of a mailer, individual. This is a separate mailer, not in the water bill. This is a separate mailer mailed out to the addresses listed.
Was that part of the
we have.
$43,000?
I'm sorry?
Was that in part of the $43,000 for the poll? Because it's got a QR code or something on it, doesn't it?
No, it does not.
On
It's
the
a
back?
mailer.
On the blue?
It's in the front, yes,
Yeah.
to respond to the survey.
I just had trouble using a QR code trying to access my doctor's office. I know a lot of, it's like I couldn't sign into my doctor's office the other day with a QR code.
Man, we budget for printing and postage, and
Well, I'm just wondering, was that part of the 43,000 or was that
Probably
extra?
not, it's under postage.
It's under postage, it probably, I can't answer that specific question right now, but we'll get you an answer if that's a concern. But my point is that these, to address senior citizens, which was your original question, we sent these out by mail, so they should have been in every single mailbox in the city.
And there was a kiosk here at the front desk in this building that was available for the duration of the survey where residents could actually fill it out right there. Where the water bill was, where you pay water bills and things like that?
At the front desk.
Front desk,
So you could have put that card in the water bill and saved some money.
We did that as well.
We did that as well, yes, ma'am.
Can I pose possible, you guys always put the signage at the entrances telling us about Christmas tree removal, about events that are happening. When you have an important thing that we need to respond to, could those marquees be used to tell us we need to be doing something?
Absolutely,
They
ma'am,
sure
and that's a
may.
good idea.
That's a great idea, yes, ma'am.
Yes, that would be awesome if it had been done. There would have been more than 3 people.
Well, that was part of the general advertisement, but we went to the specific advertisement to deliver directly to your home.
But half the time that ends up in my junk mail, and we don't pay attention to it. And I'm sorry, but that could have been where a lot of people didn't see it. But I think if you would use your signage, that might help you a little bit in reaching more people.
Absolutely.
It's a good point, ma'am, it's a good point. But we try to do our best to communicate. We advertised it here, we discussed it here, we put it out to people. We did as much as we thought we could to communicate, to put the information out. Thank you, thank you.
And
It's a
even
very
though,
good one,
and even
yes.
though the East Side Park isn't down here, it was a requisite to have a plan to try to get any grant money for that as well. So I think that's what the goal really was.
I think we could have saved a lot of angst and upset if there was a caveat about that on the webpage, on the documentation that was provided online, to let us know that that was the agenda, that was the plan, that was the purpose, and that these parks are not going to be built. Which I'd love to have in writing, by the way, that these parks will not be built, that it is just simply to justify the grants. Because I think that this room and all these people in it could have been saved a lot of trouble had that been clear from the very beginning.
Let me address, Ms. Teague had a question.
Yeah, I looked back at the newsletter that went out in the spring of 2025, and it listed, had a nice page of listing all of our parks, but it never mentioned anything about the survey. And that goes to every home, and it's well read, I'd say. It's not a postcard, it's, people look forward to that newsletter. And they read it. I think that would have been an ideal place for something to be introduced about the survey. And I think that maybe in the future, you guys set a standard on the amount of people that should be responding to a survey, or keep the survey going, introduce a new workshop or a town hall on it so that you get more input, one-on-one input.
Well, you've all certainly given us some really good suggestions on how to improve that aspect of the communication process. Yes, ma'am. One last question.
We went online to do the search for the trust for the land at the end of Rosewood.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering how long it takes to get responses back, because I did that a couple of days ago and there's been nothing.
You did an open records request?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that could take up to 10 days, ma'am.
10 days. 10 days. 10 business days.
Okay, thank you. So it's
Okay.
not that process? No, okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your participation. I'm glad you all came out so we could discuss this openly, and I can assure you that we're going to take your recommendations and your suggestions for the next time we have a survey such as this. Paul, do you have anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 8, discussion and possible action to adopt the park master plan. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I personally feel like I need a whole lot more time to digest this and would propose that we defer this matter to a date certain for a later time. Perhaps other council members need some more time to, I would like for the citizens to have more time to think about it as well.
Okay, well, I have a motion to table this for another date.
I'd second.
Okay, and I have by Councilman Robinson, and seconded by Councilman Summerlin. Any discussion? I think that's a valid motion to put out. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed?
I'm opposed to it, so I don't want to hear about it anymore.
All right, the motion to postpone this discussion to allow council to digest this some more and solicit any additional comments from the public. Is that
That's correct.
the crux of the
Yes.
motion? All right. All right, the motion passes 4-1.
I have a quick question.
Thank you.
Who do we send, like, if we want to be a little more concise, speaking in public in front of a table full of good-looking men is a little bit intimidating. So how can we submit our more concise, respectful, complete comments about this thing after today's meeting? Who do we send that to?
Our contact info is on the website for all the council members under the government page. You're free to contact me at the city anytime. Okay.
You can always let me know if you've got a concern.
So we voted 4-1. Oh, no, all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Yeah, it was.
Wait,
No,
what?
he opposed. 4-1. We did it twice to make sure. All right, thank you all. All right. We're going to move item number 14 up next to follow this up, and that item is discussion and possible action to accept the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget for the Montgomery County Emergency Communications District. Chip? Thank you, folks. Thank you for coming in. Chip, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it. It's always good to
You don't
to
have
come back
any
to
parks
Shenandoah.
that you're going to be proposing, do you?
There's no none of that here. A couple things that are not in my memo I want to mention. First of all, we have, as of a few months ago, fully transitioned to a next generation 911 system. Until that point, we were operating on a 911, or the original 911 architecture from 50 plus years ago.
Tell us more about Next Gen.
Next generation is a IP-based system. We got off of the regional tandems, which were analog, an analog system that was all calls in one region would go to one location, and they had a piece of machinery down there called a selective router that would use the phone number to look up and determine where the call would need to be routed to. So if you call 911 from here, it would go all the way down to the medical center in Houston to an ATT facility there. They would determine it needed to come back up to here to Montgomery County. So we've removed that, or are no longer paying for special trunk lines to run back and forth to there. Everything is locally. We have our own set of servers. I won't say they're local, but we control them locally. And it's an IP-based system that can process the 911 calls, provides much more, it's a more robust system. It allows for a lot of information that can be delivered over the modern communication devices. It also is a much more redundant, has a lot of redundancy built into it, so that we're not relying on those single points of failure like we had with the original system. So we contract, there's mainly two providers in Texas that provide these next generation systems. One of them is AT&T, one of them is with Motorola. We contract with Motorola to manage that system on our behalf. So we're fully transitioned now. Texas is a leader in the country for next generation 911. Almost all of Texas is now on these new systems. Second thing I wanted to mention was just in light of what happened this month in the Hill Country, we work with 5 911 call centers here. They're all managed by other public safety agencies like the Sheriff's Office or Conroe PD or the Hospital District or Woodlands Fire. We work continuously on making sure we have emergency plans, that we have redundancy. We have the ability now for a call taker doesn't have to try to make it all the way to their call center. They can go to another call center, log in, and all their 911 calls will show up on their screen as if they were logged in, at the Sheriff's Office or at Conroe PD. We have backup systems to our backup systems. We also provide, as a 911 district, we provide the emergency alerting system that the Sheriff's Office used and the Montgomery County Emergency Management Office uses. So if there is an emergency, we can push those alerts out. You can get those alerts on a subscription basis if it's a local alert by going to our website, mc911.org. You can sign up for local alerts. And of course, we also can push out an alert automatically whether you subscribe or not, depending upon the nature and condition of the emergency. So that comes through a system that we provide. And I would urge everybody, I don't know how many people are left, if people will sometimes they'll get a call in the middle of the night or an emergency alert from a government agency in the middle of the night. It doesn't pertain to them. They get annoyed, so they turn off their government alerts. One of those times you might need that government alert. So I always remind people to try to keep those on. We have our budget for you, and the big story in this budget is we've got, just under $5.7 million of revenue coming in against a $6 million operating budget. This is something that we have planned and known about. We have costs increasing. We have revenue. One revenue stream is decreasing, which is landline phones, revenue from 911 fees on landline phones. We've got wireless that is growing, but they're pretty much balancing each other out. So we've got an almost static revenue stream and growing expenses. And in response to that, the Texas legislature has given us 2 one-time infusions of cash to get us through. One of those was back in 2021. They had some COVID money. They gave some of that COVID money to 911. And then in 2023, they approved, or they put before the voters an opportunity to create what's called the Broadband Infrastructure Fund. And in that, they set aside some money for 911. We are just now coming to the end of that first shot of money, that COVID, the ARPA money. We will spend through that at the end of this fiscal year. And so next fiscal year, we will be starting to draw down on that broadband fund. We'll probably have 3, 4, 5 years of funds that we can draw down on while we continue to ask the Texas legislature to do something about 911 funding going forward. So that is our largest expenditure. We have, let me back up. We have 11 employees, mostly handling technical issues, customer support, addressing, GIS, mapping, but we pay for 25 call takers that work for other agencies. So the bulk of our budget is spent reimbursing the Sheriff's Office and Conroe Police Department for 911 call takers. I'll be happy to answer any other questions that you have. I don't want to take up more time than you want me to take up, but I'll stay here as long as you like.
All right, thank you, Chip. Can I have a motion on this? Motion is to approve the budget. We have a motion to approve by Councilman Brott, seconded by Councilman Robinson. Any discussion?
I forgot to mention about my fantastic board that I have, so I just want to mention that we are governed by a board that very much is looking out for your best interests.
I've heard some good things about that board.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, just, Chip, you mentioned that you've got grant money that you're using, but you're building into your budget to be self-sustainable, I mean, without using grant money in the future? Or?
There are items that we can begin to cut back on, and so we will start to cut back on those if we continue to strike out at the Texas legislature. And I've got a list of those privately on my desk. Yes.
It's going from landline to VoIP is totally different when you're working with a data center, and yes, it's your servers, but you control them, but you don't go lay your hands on them.
Right, right.
So, and in the virtual world where one server is 16 servers or whatever, so.
Correct.
It's, I just wanted to ask if you were taking a contingency plan.
Well, the sheriff's office, and under Sheriff Doolittle, they have made a concerted effort to improve 911 call answering times, and they've done very good, and also non-emergency calls. So they've done a good job of speeding up the call answering time for non-emergency calls. His office is to be commended for that. But they continuously, in fact, this year they asked me if can I put more money in there for them to have some more call takers. I'm going to get to the point soon where that's something I'm going to have to start backing out and putting that responsibility over on the sheriff's office. Yeah.
That was the point of my question.
Yeah. Any additional comments? No? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks, Chip.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chip.
Excuse me.
All right, moving on to item number 9, discussion regarding the 2025-2026 fiscal year operating budget. Discussion only.
Gentlemen, we're going to do this a little different tonight. Lisa had an emergency and couldn't be here. So I'm going to let Public Works and PD walk through their budgets. I'm going to handle a couple of the others. So Joseph, if you want to start us off with your budgets.
Sure. So we'll start here in order as you find it on the agenda pack for the Public Works Departments. The first will be Public Works Department. I'll just hit a few of the highlights here. Some of the changes from last year to this year that are proposed. I do want to have some discussion about at least one, or maybe a couple of these. So if you've got your budget comparison sheet, that's the form that I'm going to be referencing as I go down these different general ledger items. So one of the first changes, you'll see an increase under the street light and drainage maintenance, $8,000. That's just an increase due to solar street light repairs. We're having to do a lot more battery replacements. We were able to ward that off for a while just because we were able to find better vendors that got us better prices for the batteries. But I think we've found the best prices we can. It's just the volume of battery replacements is higher. So
the bases don't seem to do very good with dogs either.
They do not. I do not. I've
seen a couple of the covers that were just totally rotted away.
Recently, and you may have seen a month or two ago, I had my staff go out and they were wire brushing the rust, reapplying Rust-Oleum, repainting with marine grade paint to try to prolong those.
Okay.
That is a regular maintenance item. Moving on, we also added some dollars for project advertising so that as we advertise, put projects out to bid, we have those dollars to pay the newspaper for those costs. Moving down, you'll also see an increase for flags. $2,500. I know it's a lot, but based on the wear of our flags at our new Veterans Park, and there are a lot of flags over there, we're going to have to replace them about every 6 months. Just the constant wind off of the detention pond really tear them up. So we've added additional dollars so we can keep those flags looking fresh, which we definitely want to do. Further down, you'll see...
Because you're in the same neighborhood then, is the electrical utilities are up significantly, so is a lot of that lighting for the Veterans Park?
No, not necessarily. A lot of it's just, there is an increase of usage for different city facilities, but also the costs. Just the cost of electricity.
I know the pumps are really hungry.
Right. Now on the water and sewer side, it'll be a little bit better because we've got new blowers at the treatment plant, more energy efficient, but this is for all the other city facilities. And it's just, costs are not going down anywhere.
That's a reflection of electrical costs just about everywhere. I mean, domestically, my residential bill last month was through the roof, and
Right.
and it's just the cost of, the added cost that Entergy is having to pay for natural gas and, power generation has been tremendous.
That's correct, and you multiply that by several tens of thousands of square feet,
Yeah.
your bills are a lot larger. Jumping back really quick here to the equipment maintenance. So you'll see that $13,000 was added to that general ledger item, almost doubling it. Now that was in response to some of the complaints and concerns we've had about the Christmas angels having different colored lights on them. So if council's okay with that expense, that should be enough lighting to replace all the angels with new LED lights. So all the colors should match.
Amen. That's great. Thank you.
I really wasn't worried about the colors.
No, but uniformity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want them all the same.
I mean, and that uniformity will
They're
last.
still angels.
No.
Unfortunately, it'll last maybe a couple of years because some are in more shaded
Yeah.
locations than
Okay.
others. The UV yellows the tubing, and then your colors start to look different again.
Good.
We'll,
What is
we'll
the
have,
age
we'll
of
have
those
fr-
angels?
fresh- Those angels? Oof. Well, I started in '06 and we had angels. So I know we've added probably 5 or 6 since I've been here, but I think the city's done lighting of the angels and had those angels for decades. Charlie?
Nope, that's
You're
right.
nodding.
That's right.
I know you would know.
I
And
know-
this is a small.
Ms. Teague, you were in that, in the Civic Club at that time, were you not?
I was, but the angels started before then.
Before then?
They started with the first angels were the ones that are typically placed at
Entrances?
Savannah, the two-dimensional?
Mhm.
Yes.
Right.
And started as a function Kim Smith, and
Mhm.
Laura Smith started gathering people to have angels and celebrate their Christmases.
Yeah.
And it grew from there.
So I know they have some age, so it's about time we change some of
Just
those.
with the angels, I didn't get a chance to say it at the time, but 16, we were on council together, Gene, and you let Sebastian flip the switch. And I just wanted to say thank you for that because he remembers that to this
Well, you're
day.
you're a little late on that.
No, I don't run into you that much, but I just want to say thanks for that.
All right.
Moving to the next item, and I don't think this showed up on your comparison when I was looking over what Lisa put together. Under the maintenance agreements, does it show any change on the sheet you have?
No,
Okay.
31,800.
So for some reason, Questica didn't pull that change over. So I did add to that line item $18,000. And that is specifically for any sort of pond maintenance at the Veterans Park Pond, if council wants to do that. So that's a proposal that I got from Lakeside Management Systems, which helped do the installation there. Their labor costs are low. What you're paying for is the chemical. So that $18,000 is an estimate of, that was their estimate of how much you need to spend. And what that does is it's going to treat the growth that you see along the shoreline. They'll treat that, they rake it out, and it just keeps the edge looking clear.
Thank you.
It's a high dollar amount. I would say, and I told this to Councilman Raymaker, you could also consider the other side of this is, that's providing a nice biome for the fish and the turtles and the birds that like to hunt in that area. And our experience has been with the pond here by the Public Works building is during the summer you'll see a lot of that growth. During the winter it pulls back, and so it's seasonal when it comes and it goes. But I wanted to have this item.
Yeah, that was a first for that pond. It seemed to coincide with when the bayou was more full than the pond, and the water was going backwards into the pond. And that seemed to be when the problem kicked in.
Right, so what you see in really any detention or a retention pond like this, unless you have a concrete slope there, you're going to have growth close to the shoreline because you get enough sunlight through the water. It allows it to root and grow up. You're not going to get it deeper. In fact, bioengineering designed it. It's deep enough that the sunlight can't.
It's really steep.
You can't have growth
It's
in the
really
middle.
steep. I walked it when it was a hole in the ground. It's
Yes.
steep.
So you're always going to see that growth on the edge unless you spend the dollars to chemically treat and then rake that out. It would require a lot of maintenance, which is why I went to a contractor to give me pricing for that. But just wanted to call that item out.
And I'm
For
sorry,
some reason, it
I missed
didn't come up.
the cost of that. What was that?
18,000 is the estimate.
So it's 49,800 now, right?
Yes, the total. GL, that's correct. Let's see here. I think that's about it for the Public Works, unless there's any specific questions you had for me.
Hit the high points.
All right. I will move on to pool. Much smaller budget here. Should be able to get through this pretty quickly. So we did add an increase to the building and ground services just because of some of the building repairs that we're seeing there. We had some issues with HVAC, the split system, and we just totally we completely blew our budget this year just because of some of the failures we had were more expensive than we have had in the past. So we added some dollars there. Also added $2,000 additional dollars for chemicals, and that's based on usage and the cost of chemicals going up as well. Under public relations, added some additional dollars for pool events so that our aquatics and recreation coordinator she's got a lot of really great ideas, and I'm sure you've already seen them implemented at the pool. And she wants to continue to grow that. So
She's doing a great job. That's super.
I've been really excited. She's just an idea machine. And so I wanted to have some funds there to give her the ability to provide those events for the residents.
What are the concessions?
So the concessions are doing great. That one I added dollars just for the purchasing. Of course, there is an offset for the sale of those. They've been loved. From the last time I was talking to Lisa, we've had it going for less than a month, and we've already paid off what we spent to buy all of the candies and the ice cream cones and things to sell to people who are at the pool. So people have really loved it.
Good service for the community.
Especially on those hot days, a nice drumstick ice cream cone is perfect. On the travel and training, also added some dollars here. And I'll jump back really quick to the part-time.
Thank you.
Added some money there. So this change, and this is related to the travel and training. You know, as I spoke with Allison, our aquatics and recreation coordinator, in the past we had a pool operator, which was what she does, and then an assistant pool operator. And I wanted her to kind of feel it out, see how things were working. And her idea was, after a month or so running the pool, was rather than having that separate position, she felt very comfortable with our adult lead lifeguards, and they had an interest in becoming certified pool operators, certified swim instructors. And so we actually had two of our returning college kids. They became certified pool operators, and so they were able to basically fill that role for a lot less cost. So the assistant pool position is gone at this point, and we're using our lead lifeguards to fill that slot.
When do we heat the pool? Why is the natural gas up?
So we don't heat the pool.
I thought we all did pass through.
You're right. So we have a minimum bill that we have to pay, just because if you have a service, even if you don't use it, you pay for it. So that's what we pay. If the swim team wants to heat it, then they pay that back. Or if a resident wants to rent the pool and heat it, then they would pay that back. So there's always a return revenue item for any gas usage at the pool. So I just wanted to make sure there's enough dollars there if someone used it. We wouldn't blow that budget, but there is an
Okay.
offset through revenue.
I was just curious.
So Joseph, the salaries and wages, you budgeted 0, but yet 20,000 went into part-time?
Yeah, so the salaries and wages, so the aquatics and coordinator, since that's more of a Parks and Rec position, when we get to the Parks Department, you'll see that salary was moved to that department. So out of the pool into the parks.
Make it hard for us to track. Just promise me you won't move it next year.
Those are all the highlights. Any other questions regarding the pool operating budget?
So you replaced a bunch of chairs, came up earlier tonight. Any more improvements there?
Yeah, so we've done improvements to the baby pool, actually. It was still up to about a month and a half ago, it was still on one of the remaining salt cells that was actually functioning. And it was just causing an issue with our liquid bleach system. So we got that replaced. Finally got the salt cell piping all removed and bypassed. So it cleaned up our pump room significantly. So both pools are now running on the liquid bleach system, and Allison was very happy about that change. All right, I will move on to the Parks Department. And the first thing you'll see there is salaries and wages. Where it went missing from pool is here in Parks. Some of the other changes, and I'll jump down to, really there wasn't a whole lot of change in the Parks Department.
Yeah, you were flat there, yeah.
We did reclass and reallocate some of the supplies into GLs that made a little more sense. For example, you'll see the park supplies went from 2,000 to 0, but we added that to the building and ground services building and ground services. And then the other change is you'll see on the building and ground supplies, we've got replacement nets and hoops for the basketball court and some additional park supplies. So that's going to handle your trash bags and your dog waste station bags and any other tennis nets. So not a whole lot of change in the Parks Department. Any questions?
Thanks, Joseph.
What we're discussing the budget here in the parks, the issue was brought up by the residents earlier tonight about the splash pad. Have we solved that issue there, or that?
So it is.
problem there?
It is an ongoing issue. My staff power washes it regularly. The problem is that it's got a lot of earth around it and it holds water. And you know, bless them, but toddlers, they love mud. And when they're in the splash pad, you can see where they just scoop it out and make mud pies. So that causes some of the problems. So what we're looking at, I've actually got my public works superintendent, he's currently getting with companies because we want to redo the decking surface for that splash pad. It's faded from the number of times we've power washed it. So we wanted to get a fresh decking put on that. So we're currently getting pricing for that right now to get that done.
I know you put the curbs in a couple years ago. Do we need some more of those?
We've put in curbs. That helped a lot at the toddler splash area, where the jets come straight up. We did some landscaping improvements around the larger splash pad. It's just nothing's taking. I don't know if it's because it gets trampled, the plant life dies. I also got some pricing 2-3 weeks ago from our landscape contractor Ambassador to redo a lot of the plantings there in the beds at the park, which will help hold that soil in place. And so they're supposed to be starting on the beds near the pavilion next week and then hitting some of the other areas. So it's a problem area I'm aware of. We Again, we've power washed it so much it's bleached. But it's just it's a difficult area by the design of the dirt that's around it, the earth and beds that are around it. One thing I've learned from that is never put mounded earthen beds around a splash pad. You want to make sure that you're right.
Yeah.
You want to have positive drainage from every side of a splash pad.
Okay.
If there are no other questions, I will move on to water and sewer. All right, some of the highlights here. The first, you'll see there was an increase for sludge hauls. That's just because we have more wastewater flowing through our treatment facility, and so that increases the number of hauls that we need to do month over month. I also added some dollars for engineering services. We've had several projects where we needed specific engineering services, and 2,000 is just not enough to cut it anymore. So we added another 3,000 there so that we have those dollars for any engineering services we need. And that's for our entire water sewer system. Let's see here. You will see a decrease on the operating supplies, and most of that is for treatment chemicals based on usage. And honestly, I don't know if it was a typing error, but we had more money designated for chemicals on last year's budget than we've used in the past several years. So I brought that number back down more in line with our actual usage. I also did increase the belt press polymer, so that kind of offset that decrease a little bit. And that's because with our new rotary fan press that is was set today and is going to be wired over the next week or two, it uses more polymer, but
I was going to say, is that part of the equipment maintenance? Is that why that's up 50,000?
No, that's the equipment maintenance further down. No, that's for, as the note shows here, the manhole rehabilitation. I'll get to that. Let me flow through this in order, but I did want to discuss one
I
of
always
those
look at
items.
where's the burn right away, and that's where I'm going to go first.
Let's see here. The groundwater reduction plan, that's a decrease just based on, and that really is just it's a pass-through fee. There's a revenue offset for that through the water bill, because we have to set aside money for groundwater reduction based on the requirements of Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District.
You're saying that's a reduction? I'm showing it dead even.
No.
Yes, it dropped, 58,000. And that's really based on amount of water sold. So it's our best guess. You don't know if there's going to be a drought next year. You don't know if it's going to be like this year where it's been very wet. So we just make our best guess based on the number of homes, number of businesses, and plug that number in there. But like I said, it is offset by a revenue item. So I'll go ahead and, oh no, I won't go straight to the 50,000. So travel training, there was an increase there for my training, primarily because I have certifications as a water operator, wastewater operator, law enforcement. My director classes, the dollars go fast as I'm trying to keep up my certifications. So I added some more money there so I can still go to the conferences that keep me up to speed on the latest technologies and maintain my certifications. Now the 50,000. So we have been trying, and Charlie knows this because we talk about it every year. It's on the CIP, our I&I reduction. So I&I is inflow and infiltration, which basically means that stormwater or groundwater that gets into your sanitary sewer, which means you're taking rainwater and you're having to treat it chemically and putting it in your effluent stream. So you're adding chemical costs to treat rainwater. You don't want to do that. You want to limit that as much as possible. Our data clearly shows that we have I&I. When we have a rain event, you can see the flow rate that goes through our wastewater treatment plant, it tracks. When rain goes up, flow goes up. When rain goes back down, flow goes back down. It's a costly project. We haven't been able to fund it yet just because we've had other more urgent projects year over year.
Didn't we try to find where that was happening a couple of years ago?
We did. So the biggest spot you're going to get I&I are your manholes. And so what I wanted to do was add $50,000 to the operating budget and just start ticking away at this year over year. We're going to identify, and we've actually got a lot of our manholes identified, the worst offenders. We want to go in and line those so that they reduce the amount of I&I.
Tell me that one of them was at Wellman by Health South.
Probably.
Okay, thank you.
While you're on that subject, at TML conventions, twice I've visited a device that you put in the line that measures increase in flow of all that to actually, by water flow, find out which lines are the culprits. I don't know really what that cost, but have you ever looked into that as my?
Yes, I have. It's not cheap.
Well, no, but okay.
And,
but
and so,
the, you know.
So one of the companies that we were talking to, Vortex, they offer that, and they can, actually at the last water conference and sewer conference I was at, it was, I think it was Fort Worth. They'd done a large study on their sewer system, and they'd hired a company to come in, and they brought in those testers that you speak of, and they're recording the amount of flow that was going through the pipes, and they hit key areas to identify, you know, industrial areas, residential, commercial areas. And it is good data. It does cost a lot to get that data. And so our thought was, let's hit the number one offender, which are your manholes. Let's start there. Get the ones where the grout has just come out and water's just seeping in, groundwater seeping in. Let's get those fixed and do this year over year to bit by bit take down our inflow and infiltration.
So how do you identify which manholes are doing that to you?
Visual inspection is the best way to do it. You pop
after a rain event, or
you pop the lid. You can do it during or right after. The bad ones, especially the ones that are getting constant groundwater, even if it's dry, you have a good chance of seeing it seeping through the walls of that manhole. So a visual inspection is going to be the best way to identify them. And we've already got a list of our, like I said, of our worst offenders. And
so you're ahead of the game somewhat. That's all I'm really trying to get to, Joseph, not to make you spend more or critique what you're saying. I just
no, not a problem. I appreciate the questions. We just felt, you know, trying to take it all in one bite as a capital project just wasn't happening. It was just too big a bite, and so this looked like a better way of addressing the same problem, just at a different angle.
It's just a can we can't afford to kick down the road. You know what I mean? That's,
right.
That's, and you know, you and I have talked about this a gazillion times. You know.
So that was a lot on that one. Any questions? Okay, I will move on to the second page. So under maintenance agreements, there was an increase of $6,600. Now I do have good news on this. I do want to keep it this way, but we may not need to use the dollars, and I'll explain why. So one of the increases we had on here was for lift station, scum pit, and chlorine contact chamber cleaning. So something that we're trying out, and I will give all kudos to the Assistant Public Works Director, Rual. He investigated and searched out this product where you basically put a air diffuser in your lift stations, and what it does is it churns your sewer. And that allows any of the grease, the fats, oil and grease that are in there, it keeps them in suspension so that they flow down the pipe and then you treat them at your plant. A problem we were having is as soon as we got fog, fat, oil, and grease in our lift stations, it would float to the top and you'd get 2 or 3 feet of this that we'd have to vacuum out and haul away. The cost of one of those hauls is more than the cost of one of these diffusers. And we've been using it a week now, maybe going on a week and a half. I haven't been using it long. The results are amazing.
Tell me, how does it work again?
So it's an air diffuser placed down in the bottom of the wet well, and it just blows air.
Okay.
So the air just keeps it churned, keeps the fog in suspension. So when the pumps turn on, it carries it downstream. So we have very high hopes that this product will help us greatly reduce the number of hauls that we need to do. Every now and then we may need to go in and get the silt built up off the bottom. But as far as the twice a year, very hopeful that'll be done away with, which will save us significant dollars. Let's see here. Again, electricity was up for utilities just based on the rising costs of electricity. And the rest are the debt service and transfers that Lisa handles based on the project funding. So that's really all I have, unless there are any other questions about the water and sewer operating budget.
Nope, good, thanks.
Thank you.
Were you going to do utility billing or?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
Flip to that page.
Well, I know most of the labor is all Tammy, and I just wanted to say that Tammy answers the phone all the time. She never fails to answer the phone, so I always appreciate that.
Yeah, and she's great with the customers too. You can see the changes to utility billing are pretty minor. They involve some supplies, some online payment fees, lowered the number for the door hangers. So pretty minor changes. I don't know if you all have any questions about any of this.
No, it's pretty flat.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let Chief Dunlap take his budget.
So if you want to utilize your budget comparison sheet, we'll go off of that. There are some changes on here that I can see that some of these numbers aren't accurate, but I'll go over those. Salaries and wages, of course, the increase in just from the step salary.
They're 5.1%, just with steps. And this, I know you're waiting on a study yet, or you're planning an adjustment. It's already up 5.1% without that.
Correct. Well, some of those numbers are probably going to change.
You got a feeling they're going to, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to change because, you know, we're down officers and everything, and when people are hired, we only hire them at a certain step. So they don't go beyond the step 5 of the pay scale. So that'll go down a tad. Shift coverage overtime, of course, due to the fact that we are short, I increased it by 10 days. That's how I calculate stuff. Longevity pay, retirement, of course, that all increases as we go up. The license and user fees, that number that's shown, the 24,038, that is not going to be accurate. It's actually should be 23,069. There was a couple of we had some decreases with some of our software stuff. Postage, it's showing $750, but that's actually going to be $850 because we just now got an update with some of our postage, and it's going up. So that'll go from 1,000 to, instead of the 250 decrease, it'll go to 150. Uniforms and safety gear decreased 2,700. Office supplies, we decreased that by $200. Traveling supplies decreased $26.85. We have a fairly good stock of ammunition, so we decreased the amount of ammunition that we purchase yearly. Remove some dummy rounds and stuff that we no longer use. Membership dues decreased. Travel and training, that's that will decrease some. So this, I don't think this number here is updated. We are increasing some areas. We're increasing for the admin assistant. She has to go through some training, records trainings and stuff like that. She handles a lot of the open records requests and stuff. Detective increase. This will probably just be a one-time thing. They have a class school training that they're going to go to that'll help them out with some of the investigations.
Where is that training?
Where is the training?
Yeah, where is that conducted?
Off the top of my head.
Is it here in the county or out of?
It won't be in the county, no, sir. It'll be in the state, but I can't.
In the state.
Chief, where does the drone certification fall in?
So that'll be in your license and user fees.
Fuel is up 24%. Can you explain that?
Fuel's up, well, that was due to the take-home vehicles, increase in that.
So prorated, we spent about $17,000 on this current year?
I'm sorry, repeat.
Based on $20,000 over the course of 12 months, and we spent 10 months worth this last year, so we spent about $17,000 this current year. True?
Spent $17,000 in fuel so far this year?
Additional.
So from May to June, since the last 2 months since we've initiated the program, we spent.
I thought that you started that in November.
No, when I brought this to council, that's when I let.
Right, that's what I had heard was November.
No, sir. That's when we started it, in May. So what you're referring to is putting an officer in a vehicle by themselves, not a take-home ride. Instead of having 2 occupants in a vehicle, as far as car sharing a vehicle, we only assigned 1 person per vehicle because of the maintenance issues.
And that's where the $20,000 is coming from.
The $20,000 is coming from the take-home rides increase.
I see.
But from May to June, it was $13,000 from this year. From last year to May to June was $14,172. And that's from our Voyager report that Tammy pulled for me. The transfer to equipment and replacement was due to we were going to have a K-9 vehicle, but we utilized the seizure funds K-9 upfitting is a little bit more expensive than a regular patrol car outfitting. So due to the fact that we utilize the seizure funds for that, we were able to reduce that. Is there anything else that y'all want me to go over?
What about organization? I know last year you presented an org chart that would have Jake be assistant to you, and we would promote another lieutenant.
So everything right now, everything's put on hold. I'm not moving any personnel or anything like that. Everything's prioritizing. We're not doing anything as far as moving personnel until I need help in detectives. I need help in admin. We need another patrol officer on the street, and I need 5 on each shift. And we're not going to do anything until we work out our officer situation as far as the salaries and everything like that.
Where are we with the scale? What are we planning on?
So from the executive session, we discussed that we were waiting on Montgomery County to see where they were coming in. Because if we were coming in with a number, then Montgomery County came in higher, it wouldn't have done us.
But you've prepared scenarios at different pay rates.
I have prepared multiple scenarios.
All right.
Yes, and I have all the numbers.
When will we ever see any of that?
I'm sorry?
When will we see that?
As soon as Montgomery County comes out with their numbers. I'm hearing a lot of rumors, but I don't know where they're at. So as soon as I get a definite number on that.
The rumor I hear is they won't know until mid-August.
I don't know at this time.
Are we gonna wait until mid-August? Are we gonna do something on our own?
You know, like I said, we discussed it in council and wait in the executive session to wait to see where they're at. Like
I think it's wise to wait until we have some sort of a baseline to base the way we're gonna handle it.
Correct.
Because if we fall short of whatever the baseline the county establishes, then it's not gonna solve our problem.
Once we get a more definitive answer
Right.
from, everything's rumor right now. So, but once we get more of a definitive answer and I hear some other stuff, then we can come back with the numbers that we have.
We'll reach out to the county to see if we can pick their brains to see when they expect to get their results from that.
We'll try to
study.
find out their timeline.
Yeah.
We're staying in touch with them.
Yeah.
Councilman Pollard, as far as your question goes, we're several years behind and where we wanted to be with personnel, just because we've had other issues come up that took precedence over that. So right now, this is precedence. It doesn't matter as far as positions go. If I can't fill anything, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, how many are you down now?
I'm sorry?
Are we still down 4?
Yes, sir, right at 4. So it's difficult, and we still have 2 in training. So that's
in 6.
Essentially, that's 6 that would not be.
Yeah.
So that's the priority right now, because I can't do anything until we get there and be competitive. And that's the whole reason, the take-home rides and everything. This is the market. The market's asking for this. We're not asking for this. This is the market. And the market's asking for this. The market is dictating this. Montgomery County has take-home rides. The constables have take-home rides. Magnolia has take-home rides. Conroe PD has take-home rides. Harris County has take-home rides. That's where the market is. That's what they're providing for the officers in order to bring people in. The academies right now, it's hard to find an academy because they just don't have enough people coming in. So right now we're cannibalizing other agencies. It's what we're doing. Y'all saw the billboards, the signs and advertisements that Dallas was coming down here to take HPD. So that's where we're at.
That's the reality.
That's the reality, and that's what we're trying to do.
I don't see any pushback from that, for doing that. Thank God you're doing it.
We
You
have
did it
to
too
be
late, I
creative,
thought.
and we have to find something, a solution. The problem with having a smaller agency, especially being next to Harris County and Montgomery County, is that these agencies, they have a lot to offer. Our benefits, you know, I heard for a long time, well, our benefits. Everybody superseded us in benefits and everything as far as what they offer, you know, the night stipend, the weekend pay, you know, more holidays, all this. So they offer a lot of stuff. And along with that, Montgomery County, they have different divisions that people can go into. When you're a small agency, you don't have those divisions. So people are going to be stuck on patrol for a while. So given that, we have to offer something. We have to offer something to be competitive in order to get officers. Because what happens is when you don't get, when you can't compete, then you become this agency where you just get officers who bounce from other agencies, or they've had issues at other agencies, and so the quality of your services go down. So, and we don't want that. We don't want the quality of our services to go down with response time and then liability issues, hiring people with backgrounds. So we have to stay competitive in order to draw other officers. And unfortunately, that's what we're doing. We're drawing officers from other agencies.
I just don't want to lose any officers that we've got. I'd really like for you to go back and look at that reorganization. And I think for creating another position or two for people to aspire to would not only keep what we've got, but get other people to come on.
Again, yes, I'm you know, I need more help in the detectives. I need a lot of help in different areas. I need more on patrol. But the problem is that, you know, we have to get people hired first. And so recruiting and retention, that's our main focus right now.
So how do we, this is just a logistics question. We understand you've got to come to us and tell us what you need to make your department function.
Yes,
I understand that. There's a lot of variables that you don't know, you know, as to how much the salaries are going to be.
Yes, sir.
How do all these other agencies you came up to figure take-home vehicles in the compensatory of their salary? I mean, do they at all? Or? So
no, when you see a pay scale from HPD and everything, there are some things that they add into it. Like there's a lot of numbers that were misunderstood with the HPD scale. They were showing 81 for a while, but that 81 was included as far as their first year, because it's tiered. So they said 10%. It's actually 18.8% increase over the first year, and then 8% increase to their pay scale the next year, and then 6.6, and then 6.5% over 5 years. So it's a very large increase, and it's going to be hard to compete with that. And I know that. I know where we're at, and I know that's going to be very hard to compete with. But
as a councilman, I'm just trying to figure this out. Okay?
Right.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking about. You know?
Yes.
Because it's our job to get the money.
And I was curious, is a take-home ride, that's a taxable benefit, is it not?
No.
No.
No, it's just,
I guess
that's why I'm asking.
So I was just wondering why.
So to answer your question, no. As far as take-home rides, they don't consider that. That's just an added thing.
It's an equipment.
So
it's
it's
just
like a stipend. Okay.
it is just an added benefit is what they provide, and different agencies have different policies as far as timelines. Our policy is you have to be off of probation. Probation's a year, so before you get a take-home ride, you have to be here a year, so that we can evaluate behaviors and everything like that before you're able to have a take-home ride.
I'm curious, the salary scale for HPD, is that an aggregate of a base salary and and benefits, or is that?
No, sir, but I was just telling you, there was a number that was floating around a lot in the
Yeah.
news and everything that said 81, but that 81 that they were talking about was with a night stipend. And so
So
that's
it
where.
it doesn't include health and
No,
dental
sir,
and all-
it doesn't
okay.
include any of that. So when the actual pay scale came out, it starts out at 78 is their actual pay scale. And that's where Montgomery County is trying to get pay parity with Harris County and HPD with that. So that would be over a 20% increase to Montgomery County in order to or actually more than that.
To stay competitive.
Yeah, it's actually going to be more than 20% increase. So in order to get to that first year, and of course Harris County and HPD, I believe their second year, it goes to 84 starting, and then it goes on from there. So that's really going to hurt us.
All right. Any additional questions? Thank you, Chief.
All right, last but not least, I'm gonna walk through CVB. And if y'all have any questions, I'm gonna ask John to come up to the podium and respond to them. You can see there's not a whole lot of changes. The consulting and professional services, those items that are being removed are things that were a one-time thing. So, for example, the Tempest is the website, that's being handled in the current budget year, and when that's done, it's done. So that's why you're gonna see those things being removed from consulting. And we've got several increases to our advertising programs. As John expands his programs, we've got one item being removed. And then in the subscriptions, you can see a few things that were reduced this year for the upcoming budget. So all in all, there's not just a whole lot of big changes. I don't know if you all have any questions that,
What
John-
was the PR, $36,000 PR firm?
John, can you?
Sure.
Before you get too far, John, I just wanted to say you're doing a fantastic job.
Well, what we had in there was trying to allow for budget for, there's different things that we're trying to consider right now in the way of help and contractual. So part of that is looking to see whether or not we would need any help or assistance on that front. The other thing might be that we are looking at also is trying to see specifically whether or not from a staffing perspective, because as you are all aware, there's just the two of us right now. But we're also in a place of where do we put anyone?
So you're adding a PR firm of 36,000 is what you're.
We've got it there as a potentiality. Yes, sir.
Great.
Great.
Yes.
Good news.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
Is that?
any other questions?
On the $45,000 CISD,
That is the sponsorship that we've had with CISD for the scoreboard.
we're projecting to stay the same as we had prior year?
Actually, I've been talking with them about raising up our program there. I just don't have all the information yet. So there's, for example, the panels that are at the top of the scoreboard are larger. We're at the bottom of the scoreboard right now.
And they stay there the whole time.
Yeah, and those are called anchor partnerships, I believe. There's one that's coming open in July of '26. So I've told them that we are interested in talking about grabbing that space.
Great.
But I don't have all the details on what goes with that, so.
What about the Texas Monthly, 75,000?
What's the increase?
Yes.
They would be looking right now, one of the programs, and I actually been talking to the rep today, and I've got a call scheduled with them and one of their departments, their production department. I think you're all aware, or you may not be aware, I should say, They bought Bob Phillips, Texas Country Reporter, 2 years ago. They have their own production company, and I think this past year it won 3 Emmys for a travel show. And so it's looking at doing a sponsorship with them where we would be on.
That's a good idea.
The negotiation with it is such and still being determined, and so I don't want to go into details on that, but it would also.
Is that the weekend program?
It is, it's their travel show, JB Saucedo is their host. And so it would be looking at a package whereby we would have sponsorship availability as well as editorial input on a potential story to run during the season on the city. And that's in addition to our ongoing buy and doing our year-round advertising, digital travel planners and those things.
The only other question I had was the removal of Houston and beyond. What is that?
It was a duplication in last year's budget. It's our Around Houston program when it started. When we started with Around Houston, it was called Houston and Beyond when we applied. And it was supposed to be removed, and it was just there, left in the budget. And there are a few other programs that I have been trying to get some additional information on. It's, some of these things, they take time, and so we're trying to look at those, but those are things that I can certainly include and share with you later.
I think we should visit, I know Mike McLeod presented to us some suggestions as to what we could do over at the stadium as well. We should revisit that suggestion that
I think that's a good idea.
Mike presented. They might be amenable to that, and because that advertisement would be on the visitor side of the stadium. That obviously the visitors traveling over here will see the advertisement.
And John and I haven't had a chance to talk about that yet, but it's on the list.
Yeah, we should get Mike involved in that.
Yeah.
To hammer out the details, if he's willing. Of course you are. All right.
Anything else?
Thank you.
I have a question, John, about the 15% that you have set aside in here, your marketing contingency.
Contingency.
Can you help us understand what your plans are with $125,000?
Well, we don't actually, the whole point of that is there's a lot of things, and I think, Jim, you could probably speak to this as a longtime advertising guy. There are a lot of opportunities that come up throughout the year that we don't know about. There's late distressed advertising buys that are always thrown our way. So somebody hasn't filled up a magazine, they don't have somebody coming through on an additional sponsorship, and they sell distressed rates. So there's things that happen in our advertising world, sponsorship world, that we can't possibly know about. And pretty much every place I've ever worked, we've always had a contingency to take advantage of those kind of opportunities when they come up in the year.
Okay.
Actually, I'm hoping that with the formation of a oversight committee or commission, we'll be able to look at it very carefully and look for opportunities.
Have we had requests over the years from special groups like cultural arts, performance groups and such to
No.
to take advantage of what we could do under the hotel motel tax funds?
No.
None at all?
We have no nonprofits in our city that I'm aware of that are, so I could go down a side road right now.
Are you saying they have to be in the city?
Well, our funds are to promote tourism to our city. Let's be clear about that. So that's what the funds are for.
I know what the funds are for,
Yeah.
John. My
Yeah.
question to you is, do you saying that they cannot be spent in a
Would they be a
nonprofit if they're
performance
not
in our
the
city? Would they be a performance in our city? You have to look at, in the Texas two-step, and I think you were talking about that in an earlier meeting, the first prime thing is, it's got to be about putting heads in beds primarily. There's other categories of things that we can do, but it's still all about drawing and pushing tourism. So my point is, we typically look to do those things within the city. You wouldn't have Like, and
John,
typically right now,
Excuse me, I remember you objecting to spending money on Vision Point, the Veterans Park.
Yes, I did.
I sat in that audience and listened to you essentially challenge our city attorney, who clearly found a way in which to make that happen.
my
And
point,
I'm not done yet. And I was pretty surprised at that. And it began making me wonder about, are we so close-minded here that we don't understand that if we do things in our city to promote our city, that sometimes it means reaching out beyond our own boundaries to promote our hotel business? Do we know how many people might stay in our hotels when they come here to attend a concert at the
yes, we
pavilion?
do.
Do we know that?
Yes, we do.
You have that information?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Do we know how many of the caddies and those people that service the golfing communities when they come out here for the big LPGAs, or they come out for the big tournaments, or to the natatorium when they're having their tournaments, do we know how many people are staying in our hotels from those events?
Yes, we know sports generated as well.
Well, let me interrupt the discussion right now. Let's address this when we form this committee, this board, which will be formed. This will be a topic of discussion on how to operate the CVB, an analysis of how it's operating and suggestions on how it will operate in the future. For right now, let's stick to the budget, because we are running late and we need to address the budget items right now. How the CVB is going to operate, we can address at a later date.
I believe I am addressing the budget right now.
Well,
I'm asking a question about funds and what they're being used for. When I saw that 15% in there for contingency, I wondered, is that for other things? And I didn't really get a clear answer of what it's for. But apparently we're not addressing some of these issues that we could be addressing.
Well, we got that as a contingency for anything that pops up for us to advertise.
Advertising, sponsorships, that's typically what it's been used for.
And John also has a sponsorship line item in his budget. If I can offer some reassurances, John and I have discussed doing things like doing some marketing at the pavilion again. That stopped years ago. We've talked about that. We've talked about the potential for Ironman and some other community partnerships where we could help support these events as a community partner, but also to drive visitor awareness to the city.
These are items apart from this contingency line item that we're talking about.
Exactly.
Right?
Those are two separate items.
That's my understanding, so.
Yes, they are.
Any additional operational concerns or efforts, we could discuss this at
Absolutely.
at a separate discussion. So hopefully the answer about this set aside is sufficient to move the budget through. Agreement? In agreement? We can address that. It will be addressed, but.
I will bring it up again.
Well, definitely, that's.
I assure you that.
Right. We'll discuss it then. For right now, let's move on with the budget.
And one thing I would like to clarify, if you were looking at all of our advertising, our advertorials, those amenities and things that are nearby are discussed. We do that in our advertorials. It's not as if we don't talk about those things. So I wanted to be perfectly clear as far as being closed-minded or not understanding, those are addressed and they are talked about, and it's part of our city's, what I would consider our unique value proposition. So we're here in the heart, surrounded by far larger deals, and a visitor, as I've said often in our annual report when I talk to y'all about this, visitors don't know the boundaries. We're all behind the trees here, so they don't know where that is. So they just want to know, when you go to a city, what's nearby that I care to do and enjoy and see. So we talk about those things because that's part of the value proposition. So to be clear, it's there, and we do that. So
To use an analogy that I've used in other forums
Yeah,
is that, we live in the big oyster.
we do.
The oyster is, all of the woodlands and everything that surrounds us.
It is.
But we want to make sure that we are identified as the pearl in that oyster.
Because we are. We
Because
definitely
we are.
are, and we need to address that in a very forward way, in a very strong way. We are the pearl of the whole, we are the best part of the woodlands. And we need to believe it in everything we do and continually.
And you've been doing a great job that, so far. We want to take this with the assistance of the board, all right? Make it, move.
It's gonna get really
bigger. Make a bigger footprint.
Much bigger.
Make that pearl bigger.
John, can I, just because I'm new, this is my
Yes,
first
sir.
rodeo through this.
Yeah,
Just as a business guy, I'm just looking at, when I look at it since 2030, since 2023, the budget for advertising, we're up, over $500,000. And has the cost of advertising driven that process? Or are you getting, you're trying to, because everybody that comes to that, talk about Shenandoah, they're always going, where's Shenandoah? They always know the woodlands. And so my thing is, do you, and you've said it through a number of the discussion, I'm catching it on the side, that you can evaluate and the different advertising resources and the targeted market you're going for.
sure.
And so, and I appreciate that. And it would be wasting money if you couldn't come up with that number.
Absolutely.
So, my thing is looking at that big difference. Is it just the fact that the cost of advertising has gone up that much? Are we using all of these same ways of marketing? Have we been using those consistently? Or is this an additive to try to get our brand out there or develop that brand story?
If you would indulge me to tell you a little history and be very brief in this, because it's late in the evening and I know y'all all want to go home.
Yeah.
But simply stated, when I got here, there was basic traditional advertising probably being done, and that was pretty much, for the most part, all that was being done. Kathy, would you agree it's pretty much print driven?
Yes.
And so, in getting here and coming from a far larger market and an advertising PR agency background, there's a lot of reevaluation and a lot of recalibration that's had to been done. We started small. We have grown the program over the 6 years that I've been here. We've tried new programs. And what you have to understand, all of you collectively as our council in this position, cities have a variety, most destinations. And I wanted to be careful about this because it's one of the things that I've heard before too. People saying or that say that we're not a destination. We are a destination. You have to be aware every single day. We have no natural beauty. We're not the Grand Canyon. We're not Jamaica or the beach. We don't have cultural attractions in this city. We have no historical attractions in this city. And we have no city-owned meeting facilities and managed. We have no sporting facilities that we own and manage, control in the way of sports fields and parks and things of that nature. Limited largely in part by our geographic size. And so things that would be traditional destination drivers in any other city are things that do not exist here. And so because of that, we have to be, in my opinion, smarter and way more creative and using far more atypically for us as a bureau of our size, our staffing, tools and availability and data intelligence that most bureaus of our size frankly can't afford and don't have access to. And yet that's not our problem.
Yeah.
And so
But
do that.
have
And
a-
those tools,
Yeah,
and whether it's through the next iteration of the website and what we can do with that, and the data tools that we've been spending the last year and a half building out, are things that, yes, those costs continue to go up to stay on top of all that. And so to be strategic and knowledgeable about where the people are, what the percentages are, where are they coming from, who do we target, those kind of things for the data are key and critical.
yeah.
And they have fed and led what we've done. We also, because of that, have to spend money in ways that probably other bureaus of our size don't.
Yeah,
And we do that because without those other typical destination drivers, our key role, our key job is to use this hotel tax money, which is there to promote stays in our hotels
Yeah.
primarily, to get people together and to be able to measure that in a way that's real and measurable.
yeah.
And so we have to take advantage of those things. And yes, advertising costs are going up, just like y'all were talking in every other deal.
Yeah.
Costs continue to go up.
Yeah, well, I know, living here 21 years and watching Shenandoah grow, and gentlemen, thank you all for indulging me and allowing him to give me this information, is that Shenandoah really does have a story to tell.
Yeah, we do.
And one of our biggest stories is look at all of our neighbors, they're great, we're the best place to stay, for this reason.
Yeah.
And so that's the identity, and so we got a story to tell. And that's, if the money is being spent for that and it's helping our citizens, us supply the revenue to take care of our citizens, I'm all for that. But I was just really curious, as a business guy, I'm watching numbers and I'm going, God, that's a large investment. Thankfully, we have the resources, the money.
Yeah.
There, so, but,
Good.
great.
Good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything
Thank you.
else?
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Okay, then I will.
Thanks, John.
I will walk away and.
Thank you, John. And I believe that covers it.
Okay. That covers the,
Which day is the budget workshop now coming up?
Was it August 13th, I believe?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
all right. Let's move on to item number 10 then. Discussion and possible action to accept the excess collections for the 2024 debt service and certification for debt service collection for 2025, 2026.
All right, as you'll see on the agenda report, this is part of our annual truth and taxation requirements. You'll see parts A and B that explain the calculation of this. And this is just an annual thing that we have to do every year at budget time.
All right. Can I get a
I
motion?
move to accept it.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Pollard,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Brown. Discussion? No discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, discussion and possible action to approve the 2025 TMLIRP re-rate.
Gentlemen, this is another annual requirement that we have to comply with. You'll see how, at least a snapshot here of our TML IRP liability re-rate. Our general liability was increased $1 million this year because of the Tamina project. When that project is done, that number will go back down to where it was. So that's a difference in that. We've also had some changes in our cyber policy, and that policy was adopted last year by resolution of council. So any other questions? Lisa has the entire document that she can provide to you, as she says on the agenda report.
All right. Thank you. Can you get
I
a
move
motion?
to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
By Councilman Pollard, seconded by, which one are you two?
Ron.
Councilman Raymaker. Discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, discussion and possible action to award a contract to the HVAC, for the HVAC chiller replacement.
Little background?
Yes.
Okay. So Leaf Engineering and staff, we solicited bids through the TIPS Purchasing Co-op, which is the interlocal purchasing system. We received 2 responses, and the lowest price was from the American Mechanical Services of Houston, so AMS. Now, going through TIPS, it meets all of the procurement law. It's already been met, so that allowed us to move this process forward a lot faster than doing a sealed competitive bid process. So the price that they provided was $599,500. Leaf Engineering did recommend including another $80,000 for contingencies, just from their experience with this type of equipment. Things are going to come up. So what staff is recommending is awarding the project to American Mechanical Services for a total of $679,500.
All right, thank you. That's considerably less.
Yes.
Than what we expected.
Yeah, the estimate was $911,000, so very happy with these numbers.
That's right, yeah.
Motion to award the contract.
Second.
We have a motion to award the contract by Councilman Brott, seconded by Councilman Raymaker. Any discussion? Glad to see this, at this step. I think we've been discussing this for a while now. And it's gonna be quite a relief to the staff under the roof here.
That's for sure.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, discussion and possible action to award a contract for the Thornwood Lift Station, pipe blast and recoding.
All right, Mayor and Council, for this project, it's very similar to the one we just completed at Water Plant 2. So since this one is under $50,000, staff solicited bids for this project, and the low bidder was A&H, who did the work over at Water Plant 2. They did a great job with that project, and so staff is recommending awarding the contract to A&H Coating Services for a total price of $31,850, and it is within budget.
All right. Have a motion.
Motion to approve.
I second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Raymaker, seconded by Councilman Summerlin. Discussion. No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 15. Discussion of possible action to ratify the accounts payable for June 2025.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Raymaker. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Brott. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, Civic Club updates. Mr. Ballmer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What a meeting. I haven't seen this much.
Don't you have
residents.
a torch in Pittsfork too?
No. But I will say I haven't seen this much resident participation since our independence celebration a month ago, where we had about 450 people. It was
I haven't
absolutely
seen that
fantastic.
many since we talked about the P&Z zoning. Yeah.
So the big thing we got coming up is a week from Saturday at the pool. It's the back to school party. That's from 11 to 1. The Civic Club will be serving hot dogs and actually chili dogs and snacks. And as a special treat, instead of the Kona Ice, we're going to have a local, we'll call it restaurateur. Sweet Swirl will be there, serving ice cream up for the residents that are there for that party that day. So it should be quite a bit of fun.
Oh, I better tell Ben Taylor about that.
What's that?
I better tell Ben Taylor about that.
So yeah, and they actually like bring the cart and they've got ice cream and toppings, and so it should be delicious. And although we're still a long way out, I will just put a bug in everybody's ear that our Fall into Fun event is going to be a week earlier this year than it was last year. So instead of being right on that Halloween weekend, it'll be October 18th. And we're also going to move it up an hour so that we start at 5. So it'll go from 5 to 7. So we'll have a little more daylight time for people to enjoy the activities that day. Awesome.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
We're going to move on to item 17, city administrator updates.
Gentlemen, I don't have any updates tonight.
Oh, okay. All right then, council inquiry. Councilman Raymaker.
Okay, a couple things. Kathy, is there any update on the PID lawsuit?
I know that it's been filed. I don't know how long the whole process is going to take, but it is in motion.
I think we just, looks like they finished the Wellman Road drainage
I believe
today.
it's near completion.
Today, I think.
Yeah, today.
And
Okay.
then just some cleanup work.
Chris just wanted to say thanks for getting the remote meeting stuff all set up so that I can do that on 9/10.
That'll be a new experience for everybody.
Gonna give it a go. Okay. Drone update, has the software been installed yet? And
No, we
what's
just-
And what's the target then to get into service?
So we just approved for the software program, so purchasing it, getting it, the company coming in, helping set it up and everything like that. So once that is complete, then we're able to deploy the program, so, and very soon.
Okay. And then I had asked for the PD monthly report. I never did get it. I had to compile the information myself. But after I compiled the information, I saw one interesting item on there. It was like we were doing about an average of 150 to 120 incidents that we do on our 1.2 miles of I-45. And unless I was misreading the room tonight, what I'm hearing is the residents want these guys on our city streets in the valley, not up on the freeway.
So what do you mean by incidents?
It's in your report. It's logged there. What are they? It's your report.
So if you're talking about incident reports, those are reports that they actually get called to.
Okay. I'm just saying, nobody knows what they are, when they are, and what I'm hearing is people want folks on their streets and not up on the freeway. Because it says incidents on I-45.
So you're talking about traffic stops?
You tell me.
So if you're talking about traffic stops, yes, we have to, it's safety on 45 as well. We get lots of speeders, lots of complaints about 45. We have tons of accidents. The majority of our calls right now are accidents on 45. So there has to be some sort of mitigation in order to rectify that.
Maybe there could be more clarification in the report about exactly what you guys are responding to. Because I can't tell. I don't know if it's tickets, accidents. I have no clue.
Okay.
You don't have to answer any more than that. That's all I have then.
Councilman Stone. Councilman Paul?
In the monthly report, this May report marks just the third or fourth time in the last 51 months that we've seen a decrease in our hot tax HOT collections over the same months before that. All markets in our competitive set are down this month as well. That's a 9% drop in revenue for our hotels this month. The first time we've experienced a drop of this amount this year. My reason for reading this is we have to be I think that we need to be very aggressive to promote our city to overcome this. We want to help our hotels, but also to help our merchants. Also saw that we've had a decrease in the amount that has come in, that we're bringing in for liquor sales. So we're going to really have to promote and be better at what we're doing, and especially beating the competition around here. I really think that we've got a better sales presentation than anybody else, and I think we're doing a damn good job, but I want to put it on an accelerated rate to make it even better. Going forward, we can't afford to start backpedaling. It's going to cost our citizens a lot of money. 70% of our taxes are paid by our merchants, and we've got to help them and make sure that they're very successful. So it's just as a backdrop that was in our monthly report here, and another reason to really put a lot of emphasis on, I think, this commission to help promote our city. That's really all I have.
Councilman Brock?
I've got one. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to address the call tree. I've addressed this a couple of years before, but I'd like to ask for a discussion item would be put on the agenda for council to bring it up.
On the call tree?
Yeah, when someone calls in.
I second that.
Call tree, yeah. Oh, I didn't know what you said, adultery.
No, call tree. Okay, I'm sorry, it's a tree of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a call path.
Yeah, good.
Call path.
Yeah.
I'd just like to discuss it.
Okay, yeah, right.
Discussion item on a future agenda. That's
Yes.
all.
Okay.
Got it.
You got it? Okay.
I'll third
Councilman
it.
Robinson.
I just hope we can have this CVB conversation on the agenda fairly soon. We've already, council's already agreed to put it on the agenda, so I sure would like to see that happen fairly
Yes.
soon.
I did send an email out to follow up on that. My goal is to try and put this on the next meeting agenda. I've done a lot of research on this, had a lot of conversations with John, and there is quite a bit of work that goes into this, and so that's what we've been doing, but that's my plan. I've got several sample ordinances from other cities. I've got some sample bylaws, some other guidelines, so that's going to be my next focus.
Okay.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if we could, I'd like to defer the city administrator's review tonight. I think it's been a full and eventful evening, and she deserves better than us being about this tired.
Yes.
So if there-
I agree. In fact, I was
Okay.
going to suggest that.
All right.
But if you don't mind, then if we all agree, then we'll give you the economic development
If it's something we have to.
update.
Yeah, if we have to do something,
That-
we can do that real quick. but-
Well, actually, I wanted to do that tonight,
Yeah.
but we had a meeting scheduled with a developer this morning, but it had to be canceled.
Oh, very good, very good.
So we won't have the appropriate update that I wanted to give you all.
Yeah, no
So
no problem.
we can schedule that
We
for
can
another.
just push that out.
We'll push it back. So,
Thank
so
you.
we'll cancel the executive session for tonight. Okay, so I don't have anything, and as we just discussed, we'll cancel the executive session for tonight, and we'll address these two matters at the next council meeting. So it is 8:53. We are going to adjourn this council meeting.
Thank you.